Hello, this is Carrie from the Online English School, EnglishDom.com. Today I'm going to talk about culture shock. Culture shock is the feelings of confusion or surprise that you have when you go to another country or are involved in a new social group that is unfamiliar to you. There are 4 phases to culture shock, and as I briefly explain each one, I'll give you an example of when that happened to me when I moved from the United States to Mexico. The first phase is the honeymoon phase. That's when everything is wonderful and new and you just enjoy everything. The food, the pace of life, people's habits, architecture, things like that. When I first moved to Mexico, all of that was very interesting to me and exciting, and I loved seeing all the things that were different about Mexico. It also felt very familiar to me, which was also a nice comfort. The second phase is the negotiation phase. This is after a few months when those differences you noticed at the beginning start to drive you a little crazy. They start to feel frustrating, or they cause you to get angry about some things. And that definitely happened to me, and I'm not sure it's over yet. Some of the things that happen during that time are problems with language barriers, things that people do in public in the new country that they didn't do in your other country. Maybe you find it a little offensive or gross. Food differences, trying to accustom yourself to new foods that maybe you like or don't like, getting homesick, having strangers come up to you and want to talk to you, and maybe they have good motives, maybe they don't have good motives. And all of those things happened to me here in Mexico at one time or another. The worst one is probably the language barriers, though. I have many examples of times when I was not communicating well in Spanish and had some problems because of that. Some of them are funny stories, some of them not so funny stories. If you join me in discussion club, then I can tell you about some of them. The third phase is the adjustment phase. This is when you start to settle into some routines, you know what to expect, you start to figure out how to deal with it, and you start to have fewer negative reactions. I'm not sure I'm there yet, even though sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. And I've lived here for off and on for 5 years now, but I still get angry about things and frustrated, so I think I'm still in the adjustment phase. The final phase is the mastery phase, when you feel comfortable and you start to feel bicultural. Sometimes I feel bicultural, but not always. So I'm going to quickly give you some idioms that you can use when you're talking about culture shock. To be fed up with something means you just can't tolerate it anymore. To be used to something or to get used to something means to become accustomed to it. It starts to feel familiar to you. To go with the flow, to just relax and try to follow along with what other people are doing. To make a mountain out of a molehill, that means that you make some small problem into a really big problem and get overly upset about it. And to stay in touch. That means to keep in communication with your family and friends back home. So that's a little bit about culture shock. Please join us in one of our discussion clubs or in the forum on our Facebook page to share your experiences with us. We hope to hear from you soon. Feel English and feel free. Bye for now.